Let's maul in the Central Committee. Let's cringe in the Central Committee. Let's bog in the Central Committee right now.
All right. Here's a Twitter thread from Ari Berman, who is an author of books such as Give Us the Ballot. He is tracking the Marjorie Taylor Greenification of the GOP, the Trumpification of the GOP, however you want to put it. The GOP has already become party of Marjorie Taylor Greene at the state level, introducing wave of new voter suppression laws based on unhinged conspiracy theories. GOP suppression plans roll back every aspect of mail voting, end automatic and election day registration, pass onerous new voter ID laws, allow GOP legislatures to overturn the will of voters, gerrymander electoral college results. This is what the GOP is doing right now at the state level. Dems have a clear choice. They can get rid of the filibuster to pass John Lewis Voting Rights Act and For the People Act to stop GOP voter suppression, or they could allow the GOP to undermine democracy for the next decade. Next decade? American democracy is on its last legs. It's on its last fucking legs. I hope everybody here understands that. We have a 2-year reprieve to get this shit done. That's it. Democrats will be largely powerless to block many of these new laws through the legislative process in states like Georgia, Arizona, and New Hampshire that Republicans control. But with Democrats in charge of Congress, the White House, the party can pass federal measures like the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and sweeping pro-democracy reforms that could stop GOP voter suppression efforts. That will only happen, however, if they eliminate the filibuster, which Democrats Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema have said they will not do. Senate Democrats now face a critical choice. They can preserve what Obama has called a Jim Crow relic and allow Republicans to undermine democracy for the next decade, which could cost them key state races, the House in 2022, then the presidency in 2024. Or they could eliminate one anti-democratic feature of the political system in order to put a stop to many more. On the first day of Black History Month, Georgia Republicans introduced 9 bills to make it harder to vote, including ending automatic voter registration, no excuse absentee voting, and mail ballot drop boxes. This would be one of the worst voter suppression laws ever passed. And here's what you need to understand. The Republicans control a 6-3 Supreme Court. Georgia Republicans have already introduced an avalanche of new laws that would radically limit voting options in the state. On Monday, the first day of Black History Month, Republicans in the state Senate introduced 9 bills to restrict access to the ballot, including eliminated automatic voter registration, no excuse absentee voting, and mailed ballot drop boxes, as well as prohibiting third-party groups from sending mail ballot applications and banning people who moved to Georgia after the general election from voting in runoff elections. What? Many of the bills were sponsored by Republicans who backed Texas' unsuccessful attempt to persuade the Supreme Court to throw out election results from Georgia and other states carried by Biden. The bills come on the heels of another bill that would require voters to submit physical copies of photo identification twice to vote by mail. Once they request a mail-in ballot, and again when they return it. Arizona Republicans have introduced 34 bills to make it harder to vote, including ending mail voting, purging lists of voters automatically receiving mail ballots, cutting percentage of polling places in Maricopa County from 100 to 15, and allowing the GOP legislature to overturn the will of the voters. Republican state legislators in Arizona, in which Biden carried by 10,500 votes, have introduced at least 34 bills to reduce voter access, in a state where 80% of voters cast ballots by mail. Wait, there's no way Republicans would ever vote yes on removing the filibuster, right? Why would they? Okay, Republicans would vote to remove the filibuster after they take control of the government through all these state-level GOP. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to show you the future. Democrats don't get rid of the filibuster. They don't pass necessary democratic voting reforms. GOP gerrymanders the fuck Hey, Denims. Thanks for the raid. It's a Denims raid. Okay, continuing on with my rant. I'm going to show you the future so Democrats don't get rid of the filibuster so they can't pass the voting rights reforms they need. Republicans gerrymander the fuck out of every state they can. New Hampshire, Georgia, Arizona, Ohio. They control the state legislatures in a lot of other states. And the Democrats lose the House in 2022 and lose the Senate in 2022 as well because they're defending a lot of seats. Republicans filibuster. Well, Republicans no longer even have to filibuster anything. They just block the last 2 years of Biden's administration from anything resembling productivity. They win the election in 2024 on the backs of a do-nothing federal government and massive voter suppression in swing states. All efforts to sue are blocked by a 6-3 Supreme Court to prevent this voter suppression. And Democrats cannot win political power through the ballot box again. And I said this. I tweeted this months and months ago. Actually, I tweeted this last month. I've been alive. I'm 36 years old. In my life, the Democrats have controlled the Senate, the House, and the White House for a grand total of 4 years. 4 out of 36. We're not going to get another opportunity like this for a long time. That is the reality. If you want something passed, now is the time. Unless the Democrats reform our system to make it more democratic, in which case we'll have power for a lot longer. Because a lot of this stuff will be blocked. But unless they do it now, it ain't happening. Now is the time. We need DC statehood. We need a Voting Rights Act. We need union legislation. We need a $15 minimum wage. We need a strong public option. And none of all that shit I talked about is going to happen unless we get democracy reform. If you're depending on Christian Cinema and Joe Manchin, nothing's going to happen. We need democracy reform. And even they should support it because it makes them more likely to win. But maybe they won't. Maybe their corporate donors will say, hey, it may be good for you to be in office. You know what's better for you? A big fat check when you're out. Dems, when they're in power, we must work with the Republicans. Bipartisanship is the way. Republicans, when they're in their power. Elections have consequences. Shrug. Damn, Mr. Fancy Pants. That's a good tweet. Okay, let's get back to what the GOP is working on. Other proposals would dramatically shrink the number of polling locations. Shout out to Denims. Everybody follow Denims. Other proposals would dramatically shrink the number of polling locations even while curtailing mail-in voting so that Maricopa County, the largest in the state, would only have 15 vote centers instead of 100 it had in November. The most extreme bill would allow the GOP-controlled legislature to override the Secretary of State's certification of election results and appoint its own electors to nullify the popular vote choice of the voters, which Trump tried and failed to persuade them to do in 2020. Arizona Republic columnist Lori Roberts called it the most arrogant power grab I have ever witnessed. Some of these bills, like overturning the will of the voters or scrapping no-excuse absentee voting altogether, may be too extreme even for some Republicans. But with the GOP in control of state government, other changes, like purging voters from a list who automatically received a mail-in ballot, are more likely to pass. Pennsylvania Republicans have introduced 14 bills to make it harder to vote, including ending no-excuse absentee ballot, which all but 2 Republicans voted for, throwing out mail ballots for minor errors, and gerrymandering the courts so they can't strike these laws down. Look at what the Republicans are doing in Pennsylvania. Republicans want to repeal no-excuse absentee voting, which all but 2 Republicans voted for in 2018. The main sponsor is GOP Senator Doug Mastriano, who attended the Capitol Hill rally on January 6th that incited the violent mob of the U.S. Capitol. Republicans also want to reject mail-in ballots that don't arrive by Election Day, throw out ballots for minor signature errors, and eliminate a list of voters who automatically receive mail-in ballots. They are also fast-tracking a constitutional amendment that would gerrymander the state courts so that judges are elected from districts drawn by the legislature instead of through statewide races, giving Republicans far more control over them. After the state Supreme Court overturned gerrymandered congressional maps drawn by the legislature and blocked Republican attempts to undermine ballot access before the November election. Democratic Governor Tom Wolf, who cannot run for re-election in 2022 because of term limits, can block restrictive voting laws, but the attempt to gerrymander the courts will likely go before voters during the May primary elections. That scares the absolute shit out of me. If they gerrymander the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, it's over. There are 106 bills introduced in 28 states already this year to restrict voting access. That's 3 times as high as last year. These bills are unmistakable response to the unfounded and outrageous lies about fraud that followed the 2020 election. Republicans are taking their assault on voting rights to the next level, trying to accomplish through legislation what Trump could win with litigation. These efforts are the most concerted efforts to roll back voting rights since the passage of the Voting Rights Act in 1965. So the question I have to ask is, are the Democrats going to allow American democracy to die? They have a year to get this done, or we're fucked. I really want you to understand that we were almost fucked. We won a miracle in Georgia. A miracle in Georgia to win the Senate. This is our last chance. In 2015, white election board members in majority black town of Sparta, Georgia, tried to purge 20% of black voters from the rolls and sent police to serve them summons. GOP state rep defended it. He's now the chair of the House Election Integrity Commission designed to make it harder to vote. So there is one piece of data that may be positive or it may be negative. Let's take a look. There's a GOP registration drop after the Capitol attack is part of a larger trend. Check this out.
Welcome back. Data download time. In the week since the January insurrection at the Capitol, there have been a raft of stories about voters across the country leaving the Republican Party. And that's led to questions about whether the party itself is shrinking nationally. Look, we don't know that for sure, but we do have a sense in a few battleground states. Let's just take a look. Just in January, close to 8,000 Republicans in North Carolina left the party. In Arizona, 9,000 left the party. And check this out. More than 12,000 Republicans in Pennsylvania, all in only a month, have left the party. But it's more than just January 6th. This trend has been a long time in the making, and it is part of a bigger political realignment that we've been talking about right here on Data Download for quite some time. We took some data from our NBC News poll from 2010 and 2020 to look at the profiles of the two major parties over that decade time period. And we found some big shifts in education and gender. And it's not going to surprise you, but let's start with education. Since 2010, you'll see this not being a surprise, the percentage of self-identified Democrats without a college degree has declined by 7 points, while the percentage of those with a college degree has grown by 6 points. On the other side of the aisle, it's essentially a story in reverse. The percentage without education beyond high school has climbed by 7 points, despite the fact that there are fewer of...
This is bad. There are a lot more people without a college degree than with a college degree. So a party that's doing well will see both of these numbers go up.
Democrats have long been a party where women outnumber men, but the difference has grown. Check this out. In the last decade, self-identified Democrats have gone from 58% female, 42% male in 2010, double-digit difference, to, look at this, 61% of the party is now female, and only 39% is male in 2020. And self-identified Republicans, which were once evenly split between the two genders in 2010, they've become decidedly more male. In fact, in 2020, the self-identified Republicans were 46% female versus 54% male. And remember, there are more women than men overall. So together, all these shifts mean Republicans are facing a challenge. The more the party becomes the party of Trump, the more it draws from a shrinking population of people.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That previous thing was a compositional percentage as opposed to the percentage. Wait, no, it's not. It's actually not. It's not in our binary. This is party registration. There are a lot more people. You could have both these numbers go up, chat. You could have both these numbers go up. And why is that would be? Because you have a population of people that have a college degree and a population of people that don't have a college degree, right? And then you have the percentage of them that are higher, that are registered Democrats, a percentage of them that are registered independent, or other, right? And then you have the registered that are people that are registered Republican. You could actually see a transfer of people from the Republican Party and the independent pool to the Democrats. Which means of the people without a college degree, more of them have become Democrats, and all with the people with a bachelor's degree, more of them have become Democrats. You could see both numbers go up if people were leaving from independent and Republican to the Democrat. That's actually possible. You can't tell whether or not this is binary from the data they gave you, but you could see. Now, if it's a composition of the Democratic Party, then they would be mutually exclusive because you either have a college degree or not. So those numbers would move. If you're talking about internally the Democratic Party, if you're talking about the population of people with these degrees or not degrees, then you could see both numbers go up if the party was growing. What we have here is people without a college degree don't think the Democrats represent them. I wonder why that is.
The party becomes the party of Trump, the more it draws from a shrinking population of people without a college degree and men instead of women. In other words, it's grabbing a larger share of a smaller pie.
Okay, first of all, they're just dead wrong. Also, we don't know why. Okay, so looking at this, wow, liberals are dumb. We don't know why these people left the GOP. These people could have left the GOP because they didn't defend Trump hard enough. These could actually be right-wing radicals. We don't know why these people left the party unless we actually go and collect the data. They could be, I'm going to join the American Nazi Party, or excuse me, the American Patriot Party. We don't know why these people left. You could assume they left because they were so disgusted, but the evidence is actually not there. And as far as this, there's way more people without a college degree than people with a college degree. So electorally, you want to have your party do better with the larger population to, win elections. Also, white people without a college degree are disproportionately concentrated in swing states in the Rust Belt, where the Electoral College is won or lost. So that's a very dangerous population to be losing support of if you want to win the White House. So it really comes down to, will Democrats reform this country or not? And if the Democrats will not reform this country, then we're going to have a big problem. If it runs to the left of the Dems on economic issues, it could be an issue. They won't. But they won't. Fascists don't do that. I know the Dems should really hammer this point that they are the educated smarties and the Republicans are the uneducated rubes. It will help a lot. Yeah, that's not great. Patriot Party, according to Newsmax. Uh-oh, here we go. MAGA Patriot Party will primary Okay, this is embarrassing. You can't primary someone in the party when you're in a different party. You can't primary someone if you're in a different party. Primaries are intra-party. Intra-party. Okay, maybe they know that and it's going to make sense in the article. Let's read it. A newly formed MAGA Patriot Party intends to target Republicans who voted to impeach former President Donald Trump. The party's founder, Jim Davis, told the outlet the group has two primary strategies in mind. Number one, that's to try to primary certain Republicans out of office if we can win the primary against them. And if not, to split the vote and put one of our party candidates against them. Their effort to take out an incumbent could be successful if a primary run fails and a candidate opts to run in the general election as a third-party candidate. The scenario could result in a Democrat taking the win over the incumbent Republican. Davis said it would rid the Republican Party of the so-called rhinos in office. There were 10 Republicans who voted to impeach Trump. The MAGA Patriot Party is targeting Rep. Liz Cheney. Is also after Florida Senators Rick Scott and Marco Rubio, and the 5 senators who agreed holding an impeachment trial was constitutional even though Trump is no longer the president. These are the people that are on the chopping block for us to try to either primary or, if we have to be it's a last resort, to split the vote and try to win back the seat back in the following election. This is so dumb. Please do it. Oh my God, please do it. Please give us purple seats in Florida. Oh my God. Allow us not to have to rely on Joe Manchin. Oh my God, this is genius. This is what would happen, chat. This is what would happen. Okay, so the MAGA Patriot Party gives the Dems 10 seats in the House and 5 seats in the Senate, and then the Democrats immediately pass like anti-gerrymandering law, jam the courts, all the vacancies that are going to open up, and the courts are going to jam them all through. $15 minimum wage, the child allowance, which apparently is going to happen. Remember the child allowance we talked about? Chat, do you remember the child allowance we were talking about? I think it's going to happen. I think it's actually going to happen. I have another story about that. So any sex havers, child havers in the chat are going to get free money. Mike, this political content is great and all, but you've made some big promises to your following of gamers. How are we supposed to reform the part when we can't reform the stream? I've been waiting patiently. It's cold outside. Please feed us, Mike. We're desperate. Gaming when Pago. Oh, no. Child safety nets, social safety nets, or child money? Child money. Child money. Apparently, if you have a child, you will be getting a check every month in your bank account. Davis said the group was not given a warm reception from the Trump team. Still, he said the MAGA Patriot Party is working with people in a handful of states, including Nebraska, Texas, and Colorado, to find candidates to run and support. LOL, this is the movement for a people's party. Well, at least the right wing has dumb fucks like this, too. Davis said the ideal candidate is a moderate Republican who backed Trump's conservative policies and nominations, even if they didn't latch onto his polarizing personality. They would still support Trump because they know they didn't get the policies they want before he took office, he told the outlet. He said the group will not go away until they feel satisfied the Republican Party is unified, it's a party of the people, and that the elections are going to be free and fair. God, they're dumb. God, they're dumb. I don't know. I feel like we're underestimating the Patriot. Oh yeah, we're underestimating the movement for a People's Party, which could convince Virgil, Texas, and they could keep Ryan Knight. They couldn't keep Ryan Knight. Zero candidates. I love Virgil. I love Virgil, Texas, but he never did anything with the movement for a People's Party. I'm not trashing Virgil. I'm saying Virgil is smart. Movement for a People's Party equals MAGA Patriot Party equals MPP. Oh my God, you're right. You're right. You're right. Communism takes the masses from poverty to death. Capitalism takes the masses from poverty to one missed paycheck or medical bill away from poverty. Voluntarism takes masses from poverty to prosperity through empathetic cooperation and respect for individual sovereignty. Are you trying to argue in favor of an Ancapistan in my fucking chat right now? Hey, MPP's goal is a little different from the Greens. We say we want to be a major new party, not just a leftist party. Greens have a good platform, but I'm not sure it could appeal to red state voters. I told you that it was bizarro-centrism. Bizarro-centrism. Who have you... You guys, maybe you guys are too old or too young to know what Bizarro is. But Bizarro is a fictional supervillain appearing in the DC Comics. It's the mirror image of Superman. So, Bizarro-centrism is... Instead of, we can reach across the aisle to work with corporate Republicans to pass corporate-friendly legislation, it is, we will reach all the way to the far right and work with them. And just as dumb as centrism is, Bizarro-centrism is even dumber. Explaining Bizarro. I know, I'm sorry. There's some Zoomers in here. You think the Dems actually want to be progressive? I'm convinced they want Republican policies and just pretend to be progressive to soak up and pacify left voters. I think that when you say Democrats in that sense, it has no meaning. The Democratic Party is a coalition of a whole bunch of different interests, as is the Republican Party. I think this is something that I really need to explain. American political parties are different than other political parties in that they're not coherent, unified, ideologically cohesive units. They have all sorts of different coalitions. There are progressives in the Democratic Party. There are liberals in the the Democratic Party. There are conservative Democrats. And they all are joining with this umbrella organization, the Democratic Party, for various reasons, typically electoral advantage. If you want our segment of the Democratic Party to do better, which is the progressive part, or the Democratic Socialists, or the Justice Dems, you have to increase their power, and they're within that umbrella coalition. Now, I don't like the Democratic Party, but it formed because of material reasons. What are those reasons? The electoral system in America. First past the post, electoral college. A lot of electoral energy is around the presidential race. So you get a lot of free publicity and a free attention by being a Democrat because of the energy that's poured into these Democratic versus Republican umbrella organizations where the presidential races are conducted. That is why people run as Democrats and Republicans. Now, if you want to reform that, you got to reform the system itself, or you're going to still get these shitty outcomes. The reason why third parties are continually absorbed in America is because they don't win. But if you have enough of an energy to form a coherent political party, a third party that actually gets some votes, one of the two parties that are ideologically close to that movement will try to absorb it so that they can win more elections. That's the history of third parties in America. Bizarrocentrism is unironic horseshoe theory. Oh my God, you're right. Pyro, it's horseshoe theory is right, actually, and we're going to use it to try to make a party. Oh my God. Holy shit. Jimmy Dore is just someone that says horseshoe theory is right and correct and good, actually. Oh my God. That's one of the smartest comments I've ever seen. Oh my God. It's the horseshoe party. Take it easy, Mike. You're assaulting chat now. Okay, there's been other smart comments in chat. That was a very good... Wow, that's right. All right, let's close off our discussion of the Republican Party being insane by this.
In fact, a catastrophe for Christianity.
Well, I have to laugh. President Trump was the best thing to happen to the Christian church in America since maybe Jesus. So, yeah, that's ridiculous. I read the article. I thought... if it weren't, I don't know. I didn't know if he actually believed the things he was saying, but he is not in touch with what the evangelical church thinks at all.
Yeah. Welcome back.
Yeah, that's a cult. That's a cult. That's a psycho cult. If you want more leftists on this platform and other platforms that actually go into deep dives about issues like finance and electoral politics, you're never going to find a better stream than this one. Here's some things you can do. I'm posted YouTube content constantly. We had another Jimmy Dore video. We had a not safe for stream debate with conservatives where Vosh and I and Denims debated with a bunch of conservatives about voter fraud. You have the dumbass takes of uniting with fascists. Get in there. Get in there.